going on, everybody? Welcome back to Slice of TV, where we are going through every episode of The Last of Us Season 2. I am your host, Brett Parker. Joining me for this journey through The Last of Us, I have Wyatt from Cinema Trip Reviews back. Welcome back, Wyatt.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to talk about these two episodes.
Yes, we missed last week, so we are here to talk about 2 episodes. So you're going to get a little bit longer of an episode. Maybe. We'll see. But we're going to be talking about episode 5 and 6. Episode 5 was called Feel Her Love, and episode 6 was called The Price. And they are 2 drastically different episodes. So it's going to be very interesting to compare what happened. Also comparing what happened in the game compared to what we're seeing in the show, which is in a way kind of distancing itself to a degree, but it's also staying very loyal to the game. Both episodes are very different. Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of.
And to a degree.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, for anybody who watched our last review, I forget what was the number 4 episode. Yep. My opinion hasn't really changed since that episode. Unfortunately, so we were talking about, I hope these next couple episodes are kind of steer the ship in the right direction. And there's things I definitely liked about these episodes, but it's a lot of that same stuff that we were kind of complaining about in episode 4 that is kind of rearing its head through these 2 episodes.
Yeah. So I think we should start off by talking about episode 5. It's called Feel Her Love. It was directed by Stephen Williams, written by Craig Mazin. I mean, we should all just know that Craig Mazin writes every episode of the show.
Yeah, if you're mad, blame Craig Mazin.
Yes. So this is a continuation of episode 4. We're with Ellie and Dina, after the events that happened at the end of episode 4, where we find out about Dina being pregnant and all that stuff. And now we're at like a weird crossroad where we were talking about episode 4, where we were kind of annoyed with how the direction they were putting Ellie in.
Yeah.
And I felt it was continuing for the majority of this episode until the end of the episode. And then I was like, oh, that's where she went. That's who I've wanted to see for the majority of the season.
Exactly. That was the biggest complaint we had about episode 4. And when you watch towards the end of this episode, I was like, this is the feeling we should have had this whole time since Joel died. Like, we should have had this kind of tone this whole time. Why? And then it kind of, it kind of goes back in time, but still in the next episode. But yeah, it's a lot of the same stuff continuing from episode 4. Like, it's Dina and Ellie's super fun vacation trip to Seattle, like joking around. Like, I don't know. I'm not a fan of it.
It's dragging on too long. It's going in places that I just don't care about. And then when we get too close to the end of the episode, we're like, oh, okay, now we are seeing what we have been seeing with the game. Like, we're seeing the Ellie that we've wanted to see. She saw Joel die. She should be angry all the time. Like, she should just be living with this anger inside of her. And you're seeing it here and there, but it's like she's trying to hide it, even though when we see Ellie in the game, she doesn't care who sees it. People know that she is like a loose cannon, and she'll just kind of do things without thinking about it, which they talk about in this show. Like, they talk about the fact that Ellie is a loose cannon, and Dina always gives her crap. It's like, I'll come up with the plans because you're not really smart enough to do the planning. You're just a doer.
Yeah. She warns her about just like, hey, if we run into trouble, don't shoot first. We shouldn't be shooting people unless you have to.
And the thing about Ellie is, like, we're seeing fear from her, which is like understandable in the situations that she's being put in. But also, if you're that reckless, you shouldn't be showing that fear. It should be a little bit more hidden. It's so confusing what.
Yeah, because even in the game, whenever she's so like angry and depressed, even though there are small moments of kind of lightheartedness with Dina, you could still sense that sadness with Ellie and everything. It's not like she's so like still joking around and acting happy and stuff like she is in the show. There's still that layer of sadness beneath the surface that you can really sense. And that's what really drives the game. And that's what kind of makes you follow Ellie's path, where it's like here, it's just like it's so like you don't have that tone through the whole time. Like you have it at certain moments where like, oh, she finally remembered she has to go out and kill these people and get revenge. Like she finally remembers that Joel is dead or something. It's just like I don't know. It seems like she just forgets the mission a lot of the time. And I understand maybe they want to try to put her in that mindset where she wants to kind of not think about that kind of stuff and she wants to kind of be happy with Dina. But then again, like you can't have it both ways, really. I mean,
Yeah,
the if you it's based off the game. The whole first season followed the game
pretty
pretty much to a
closely.
T with the exception of episode 3, and now it's like they're going all these kind of different directions, moving things from within the game to different sections of the story, and it just doesn't make sense, dude. Like, I feel like it ruins a lot of not only the tension within certain parts, but it ruins a lot of the emotional impact within
Mhm.
certain parts, specifically within the next episode we're going to talk about. But even so, in this one, it's just continuing. Like, you don't really get a sense of who Ellie is at this
No.
point in time.
It's crazy because it's like it's like a regression of her character because we saw how she was in the first season, and she is pretty damn close to the Ellie we see in the game, you
Mhm.
know, almost to a T. And
Yeah.
and then in season 2, because I feel like they're like, "Oh, well, it's gonna have to be like the second game's gonna have to be multiple seasons," and we've talked about that, you know, that fact in other episodes. And but it's like they're trying to just prolong it even longer. Like, they're
Yeah.
like, "No, no, now it's gotta," because, like, Craig Mazin came out, I think,
Yeah. Today
yesterday or
or whatever.
today and
Yeah. The
was
news broke
like,
today about it.
"Oh, yeah, so season 3 there's gonna have to be another season. There's gonna have to be a season 4 because we're just not gonna be able to complete the narrative in season 3," and I'm just like, "Well, what do you then stop doing what you're doing in this like, you shouldn't have done half the things you did."
Yeah.
'Cause it
It's like
just
they're wasting time.
yeah,
Even though, like, you shorten, like, the season's only 7 episodes, you coulda easily did, like, 3 seasons of 10 episodes and finished the story, and that would've
exactly.
been it, like but now you're, like, finding ways to insert either characters that weren't in the game, giving them a backstory, or you're kind of inserting more story for characters that were in the game that
Right.
isn't really necessary or needed for the story as well, and it's like, I don't know what they're waiting for. I don't know why they're trying to space it out as much as possible because it's just not working here.
There was plenty of characters already. We didn't need like,
Exactly.
we got Gale, right? Character, not in the game. And to be honest, that whole storyline kinda just doesn't it's not as satisfying as
No,
I wanted it to be. And, you know,
no,
I don't
I
wanna
felt the
dive
same.
into that I don't wanna dive into that episode quite yet, but we kinda get what we asked for, but not really.
Mhm.
You know? And again, it doesn't go anywhere, but I mean, it's the new turning point for Ellie, right? That's kind of like the end game for that character. But it's like, no, you had
Mhm.
plenty of characters to work with from the game. I think, and I've talked about this so many times. I've talked about this till I was blue in the face when it comes to like Resident Evil. The Resident Evil
Oh,
film
yeah.
franchise has had so much lore and so much to pick from, and they were just like, "No, let's just make it up. Let's just make it all up. We'll just like sprinkle in things that are associated with the game." But it's like,
Yeah.
no, and that's
And
bad. It just turns into an action movie, and that's not what that was. I mean, until later games, but
yeah.
like, for The Last of Us, you had such a great narrative, like, right there, and you have Neil Druckmann involved in this show, and they did so great with season 1 where they were following that narrative to almost
Yeah.
exactly to the game with some minor changes in the season or the episode 3. That
Yeah.
was brilliant. They didn't have that episode in this season. Well, I could
It's
say
very truncated
I
where they
could
tried
s
to do.
yes, I could say episode 6 is that episode, but it's at the end of the season, which didn't make sense.
Yeah.
I don't understand why we're only getting 7 episodes in this season. We had 9 in the first season. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but I have no clue how they're gonna even do this last episode leading into the next one, like, next whole season, if that's even gonna be 7 episodes. It's just like it's like they're drawing it out just for the sake of having more seasons. And I understand they don't wanna follow the game to a T, like, exactly beat for beat. Like, maybe they wanna change certain things around, but, like, they're changing certain things around that just don't make sense for the story,
Yeah.
or just, like, expanding on things, or making things just go way too fast for no reason at all.
Or making our main
When
character, who we're supposed to be, like, super pumped with, is just kinda doing nothing for
Yeah.
a lot of it.
Yeah, like them having like we already talked about it extensively about why what was the point of them making like Dina and Ellie get together on the trip to Seattle or once they're at Seattle. This relationship should have been developed before they
Yeah.
even left Jackson. Like that would have made that much more of an impact once they're in Jackson. She finds out she's pregnant,
Mhm.
gets mad. Okay, you're a liability now. We got to take you back, or you got to stay here while I'm going to kill these people. Either way, the revenge and the mission at hand should be number one priority for Ellie. Like,
Yep.
screw everything else. And we're just not getting that until the like you mentioned, the end of this episode. That's where you're kind of feeling like, okay, this is the Ellie we've been waiting for. But is she just going to kind of go back to what we were seeing through the past couple episodes, or is this the Ellie we're going to be seeing going forward? Because if that's the case, why weren't we getting this the whole time?
Yeah.
Why was it her killing the first person out of Abby's group? Why was that the trigger for her to just be mad all the time when that should already been the case?
Yeah,
It's just very sloppy, man.
the frustration is rising in me because I don't wanna hate this show, and I don't hate the show.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
just
I
frustrated
don't
with the
either.
show, and I'm frustrated with the writing because it's not the
Yeah.
performances that are hindering this show, because I think everyone who is acting in the show is doing a phenomenal job with
Oh
what
yeah.
they're given on the page. But the
Hmm.
problem is it's the writing, and I think it's Craig Mazin, and he has
Yeah.
too much control, and he's and I think Neil needs to speak up. Like, he needs to be like, "Hey,
Oh yeah.
what
It's
what do you
his baby. Why doesn't he have more control over it? It
what's
doesn't
going
make
on
sense.
here?" And supposedly he has, like, he's involved heavily in the show. He even directs episode 6, but when we talk about episode 6, you'll understand why that episode actually is, like, one of the most loyal episodes to the show, or to the
Yeah.
game. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I the episode 5 was very forgettable in at least the first chunk of it. And then we get Ellie and Dina going to, they're escaping to this, like, warehouse, and there's a bunch of stalkers there. And this is when you get, like, it, they're having to face, like, I think there was, like, according to Craig Mazin,
There was a bunch of
there was like 11 stalkers in this room, and Ellie has to protect Dina, and she gets attacked, and then guess who shows up? Jesse, and he saves them. And the first thing I'm asking is Jesse. Like, he asks her, he's like, "Are you bit?" No. Oh, that's crazy because there was like 4 of them on you. How did not
yeah.
one
There
of
was like
them
four
get
on
you?
top of
All
her.
right, sure, whatever. I'll just believe you. And we then are, it's a good scene because we get to see more of the stalkers, and we get to see how they hunt, and, like, they're like raptors. They, like, hunt in packs, and they're
Hmm.
able to, like, work together to attack their prey. And then, they escape, and then they're not just getting chased by the infected, but they're also getting chased by the by the wolves.
Hmm.
And this is where we then see the scars, and we kind of get a very, like, subdued version of a very intense scene in the game
Yeah, one
where,
of the best, like, action sequences of the game, like, just sneaking around in the grass and stuff, hearing the whistles and everything, the
yeah,
little
because
torches they're carrying.
in the game, it's, I think Abby is captured by them, right? And it's like she gets strung up and
Well, yeah, that's later in the game, but there is that section when they're in Seattle where you are Ellie, like, kinda sneaking through the
going
weeds in
through,
that
but she's,
park.
like, by
Yeah, it looks
herself
very yeah,
in the
she's by
game.
herself, she's not with, like,
Yeah.
Jesse or Dean or anything, but it's very similar, and I actually that's probably one of my favorite parts of the episode is them sneaking around because they felt
Yeah.
like the game and everything. But yeah, it was weird because they talked about in, like, a couple episodes, the leader of the wolves talked about how the truce was broken between, like, the Scars and the wolves, but yet in this, like, the wolves refuse to go into the park. They're like, "Yep,
Yep.
that's
No,
Scars
not doing
territory,
that.
we're not
Not
going in
doing
there.
that.
We don't want anything to do with
Not
it."
not
And
doing
it's
that.
just weird, 'cause, like, if the truce was broken, you would think, like, "Fuck that, we're going in here and going after them. If we run in the Scars, we run in the Scars, we have to kill them," type thing.
I think it's more of
Um,
just, like, I think a lot of these wolves are afraid of them. They're afraid of the scars because of how they hunt. Like, they're not
Yeah,
just, like, out in
could
the
be.
open doing things. They got the crazy
Yeah,
whistles and the,
yeah.
very
It's just
primitive
weird
weapons
because
and
earlier in episode, you have Dean and Ellie run into the the what was the name of the episode? Like, Feel Her
oh
Love or whatever?
oh, this episode?
Yeah.
This episode is Feel Her Love.
Yeah, they run into the mural of the Feel
Feel
Her
Her
Love
Love.
with yeah, and
Yeah.
everything, and then you have all the bodies of the scars underneath, and it says, "Feel this, bitch," or whatever, so it seems like the wolves aren't scared of the scars, but yeah,
Maybe.
you do see whenever they run to the park, yeah, they're like, "No, let
"Eh,
them go. The
I'm
scars will get
good."
them if we don't." But
And
you're right, I can totally understand how they would be a little weary at night going into the woods when they have different communication from the scars, like the whistles and everything.
yeah. But I'm also confused about the scars because when we first meet them in, like, episode 3 or 4, I can't remember which one, you
Yeah.
have that conversation between the daughter and the dad where she asks about the prophet or whoever was, like, the leader of the scars, and he's like, "Oh, well, she's been dead for 7 years," or whatever it was, and, "We don't really follow that, line anymore, but we follow the ideas that she
Yeah.
had." Which kind of meant, like it kind of feels like they were just, like, falling away from that religion, but yet every other time we see the scars, they're super into this prophet. They're like,
Yeah.
this is her like, "We do what she wants," type thing, and that's where they end up gutting that guy, that
Yeah,
wolf
that was
that
a
they
wild
capture,
scene.
which was
Good
crazy.
good effects.
Yeah, and then everything kinda just goes to shit because then the whistle happens, Dina gets hit in the leg with the arrow, and
Yeah.
then and there's like, "Get the hell out of here!" And Jesse and Dina, like, they get out of there, and Ellie's
It's
got to
funny 'cause, like,
do
any type of media where I see someone, like, get an arrow to the leg or whatever, I
just
immediately
Ace
think of, like,
Ventura.
Ace Ventura, and he's just like, "Ah!
Ah!
Ah!"
Ah! Ah!
I'm glad you knew exactly where I was going.
Yeah, I mean, and then you get that, like, moment of Ellie having to escape all of the scars, and you get, like, a shot of this one scar. It's like the woman, the redhead woman with the braids.
Mhm.
I I don't know if she comes back for anything. I think
Yeah, they
she
kinda held on her for a while.
yeah, like, is she somebody important? I don't know, but, Ellie hides from them and then is able to escape, and then that's kind of how it's like, "Oh, yeah, remember when the whole point of this coming to Seattle was she needs to go kill Abby and her group?" Well, guess what? Now they're at the hospital that they've been
Yeah,
trying to
she has
get
that
to the whole
decision to make.
time. Yeah.
Does she go back with Jesse and take care of Dean, or does she go by herself to the hospital? And that's she makes that decision. She finally remembers the mission.
Yeah. And you're like, "Oh, okay." So, we finally get like, okay, we're now at the good part here. She goes in there and she faces Nora, and we see Nora again. And
Mhm.
it was one of those moments where I was like, I couldn't remember if she was one of the ones that was, like, against what Abby was doing, or if she was one of the ones that was kind of, like, for it. But then they showed that she was the one of the ones that was holding Ellie down when Abby killed
Yeah.
Joel.
I think the
So,
one that wasn't really for it was, like, Owen's girlfriend. I forget her name in the
I don't
game.
think Owen
She's the one that's pregnant in the game
right,
too, like,
right, right. Yeah,
Owen's baby mama in the game. She's the one that really wasn't for it and
no.
everything.
So, we get the whole thing where she kinda ambushes Nora, and we get this chase, and
Yeah.
then and I guess we should flash back to the beginning of the episode because there actually was a pretty integral part to the opening of the episode is that woman. I can't remember what this character's name is.
She's in a bunch of stuff,
Yeah,
that lady.
but we saw her earlier when Isaac turns on his former group to then join the wolves, and they kind of form this
Yeah.
truce, and they form the wolves. And she's talking to this woman who is talking about her ordeal, like, in, some lower floors of the hospital where she's like, there's spores in the air, like, it's now airborne,
Yeah.
and she's
Like, she
talking
yeah,
about
like, a bunch of people down there.
yeah, and she's talking about how, like, she's like, somebody that she cared for is down there, but you don't really get an answer on who it is until the woman she's talking to walks out of the room, and she's like, "I'm really sorry about your son." And you're like, "Okay." Like, that's a we knew that spores being in the air was a thing. It was actually, I think, introduced in the first game. Um,
Yeah, this is the thing I have a problem because even during the making of the first season, like Craig Mazin and them talk about like, yeah, we didn't really want to introduce the spores into this world because it didn't really make much sense. And now all of a sudden they're like, well, we need Ellie to have that confrontation with Nora in the basement. Like, we need the spores now, so we got to introduce it. So it's like, why wouldn't you just introduce it in the first season? That way you could have had the gas masks. You could already have incorporated this ahead of
yeah,
time. It's like that kind of thinking. It's like they forget about it and they're like, "Oh, wait, maybe we should have introduced spores because we need it for this part of this game." And
yeah,
and I don't mind the scene at the beginning of this episode because it actually has that payoff. It
mhm,
explains the basements that they end up going to. It wasn't really a needless scene, and it worked because at the end when it reveals it was her son that she ended up locking in there, it's like, oh man, cut. That was a great cut to the beginning credits and everything. But then it comes back around by the end of the episode, and when they're
right.
like in sub basement 2 or whatever it was called,
It
it's that kind of stuff I don't really mind if it does have some type of payoff, but
mhm,
I don't know, it's some weird decision making as far as, like, what they're including and when they're including it. Because like, did they just find out about spores? Like, how is there no other places that any of these people have been searching, either in the city or just in over the past 20, 30 years? None of
right.
these places had spores whatsoever.
Yeah. It's just it's one of those things where you're just like, now we're just shoehorning things into the situations just for it to make sense. And it's like,
Yeah, like,
us
I
as the
understand it was
gamers, we're like, I mean, there was so many other ways we can introduce this, but I guess since you kind of made sense, I'm okay with it. But I get your point where it's like, yeah, no one else knew about this. No one else is
yeah.
kind of being like, hey, yeah, there's spores. There's like, it's in the
I
air.
think
Don't,
their only explanation, like, because they mentioned that is, like, kind of the ground zero, like, the first patient
yeah.
was there, like, maybe that's their explanation why it spread so much there, but still, like, it's been around for how many years now? You think there'd be spores somewhere else where there's a ton of infected.
I mean, it just shows over the 20 years how like advanced these cordyceps are.
Yeah.
It was just, I think, a minor thing in the beginning, and then it kind of spreads. And now it's like when we get to see this room of the cordyceps all over the wall, and then you see like
Pretty
the
gnarly.
bodies, and the bodies are the ones that are like they're every time they breathe, they release the spores. That's where they're coming
Yeah,
from.
it looks really cool.
It's really a well done set piece, and
Mhm.
just the way that the imagery looks, and like even the shot of Ellie, kind of observing the son of the woman from the beginning of the episode, as and kind
Yeah.
of being like, what the hell is this? Because she's discovering this for the first time. And then we then jump to her confronting Nora, and Nora kind of being like trying to, I think she's trying to force Ellie's hand into being like, Joel was a bad guy. And Ellie's just like, I fucking know what he
Yeah.
did.
Do
I
you
know
know
what
what
he
he
did.
did?
Yeah. She's like, yeah, I do.
He killed the only person that had a cure for that possibly had a cure for everything. He killed Abby's dad and such. It's like, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah. It's like that's over with. You killed my dad pretty much, and I'm gonna kill you. And
Yeah.
you could tell, like, and this is where we actually get to see this Ellie that we've wanted to see for the majority of the season, because you can see in her face that she doesn't care about anything that's
Mhm.
coming out of her mouth. She just wants to hurt
Yeah.
her bad and end up killing her, and she does. She freaking beats the crap out of her with a pipe.
Yeah. I love that little, like, turn, like, cause it happens in the game too, cause it's almost beat for beat how it is in the game where
Mhm.
she's like, "You stupid bitch, you killed both of us," and she's like, "Oh, yeah? Did I? Did I kill both of us?"
Yeah.
And then she finally realized it clicks with Nora
Oh.
that, like, yep, Ellie's the one that can't that is just immune, she can't be infected.
Yep.
So, she's gonna get tortured until she finds out what she wants now.
And we get the cutaway as she's beating her, which I don't know. I feel like they cut away too much. Like, I want to see some of this, man. I want to see the violence, right? I
Yeah.
want to see, like, when you play the game, you see these freaking people getting their ass beat. Like when Joel dies, like his face is all
Oh, yeah.
puffy and it's rough. Like her hitting him in the head with the golf club, and the game or the show has been very, like, subdued with that violence, and I mean, I
Yeah.
kinda get where Craig Mason's coming from,
Like,
the
your HBO, it's not like it's AMC.
right.
Like,
You
you
literally
should
had a
you should get
You had a show where freaking brother and sisters were having sex with each other. Like, what are we talking about here? Like,
Pedro Pascal had his head blown up by the mountain.
yeah,
Like, come on.
exactly.
If you could show that, you could show pretty much anything as far as violence
Oh
goes.
my goodness.
But I mean, even like you mentioned, even in the game, it shows a majority of everything. And if they do cut away, it waits until like the final killing blow of
Yeah.
something, and then
Yeah.
it cuts to black, going to the next scene type thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
I mean, most of this ending was beat for beat of how it is in the game, and these are the parts I really like. This is what I want to see. Like, I understand they don't want to go follow the game, but like that's what we came for. That's why everybody's
yep.
watching it. That's why the people that played the game are watching the show, because they want to see these real scenes adapted and
Yeah.
everything. So it's like that's what kind of throws us off whenever you're inserting scenes that don't really fit from the game, or characters that aren't from the game that you're kind of inserting a little bit more, or just bad storytelling in general as far as writing goes. It's
Mm.
just that's what kind of makes us, and that's why I'm interested in seeing like other people's opinions. Like if there's anybody watching this that hasn't played the games, I would love to know your opinion. Like, how are you liking this second season of the
Yeah.
show? Because I'm sure it's different for anybody that hasn't played the game. You might really enjoy the second season. It's just different strokes for different folks.
Yeah. The majority of the people who have been kind of commenting on our reviews have been people that have played the game. And
Yeah.
so I'm getting a lot of like, hey, why do you think that they're doing this? Or it's like, oh, it's just the scene is not as effective in the show than it is to the game. And it's like, in the
Yeah.
beginning of season 2, I was like, yeah, I get your point, but I'm also optimistic that it's going to kind of correct itself. And boy, I hate being wrong.
Yeah.
And like as much as the impact of this scene in the game is way higher,
Mhm.
this was a scene that I was like, I was satisfied at the end of this episode because I was like,
Yeah.
this is what I want to see going forward. But then we get the teaser for the next episode, and it's a flashback episode, and I'm like, this is the
Yeah.
penultimate episode, and we're doing a flashback. All right,
Yeah.
here we
And as much as
go.
I like the episode, it ruins all the momentum
Yep,
that it had going for it at the
sure
end of
does.
episode 5.
Because you are on a high. You're like, yes, we're finally getting badass Ellie doing badass things. And then it's like, nope, we're gonna do a thing that the game did fairly
Yep.
early. Like,
You wanna feel happy for, like, 30 minutes and then feel real sad for the next 30 minutes.
yeah. So episode 6 is called The Price. This was directed by Neil Druckmann, and you could tell because it's literally beat for beat, from the game. But the problem is this entire segment is earlier in the game.
Most of it, yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
then you have a spot of the episode that's supposed to be literally the last scene of the game, and it's like, what are we doing here? There's supposed to be a huge payoff, and you soiled it now. What are we doing?
yep. So we get it's literally we are I think it's Ellie's 15th birthday
Yeah,
and
like the whole episode is cutting from like one
every
birthday to
birthday.
the next
Yeah,
for Ellie. Yeah.
up until the year that Joel ends up dying.
Mhm.
And it's showing like how good it was in the beginning between Joel and Ellie, where he gets a cake, like he goes to Seth to make her a cake, and he spells her name wrong, and
Eli.
yeah, and he crafts the guitar that she plays, and we get to see him, and it's a very Joel and Ellie centric episode. And it's good to
Yeah,
see Pedro Pascal one last time because this will be probably the last episode he's going to be in.
probably.
Um, which is it's good because like Joel is dead, and this is fine, but like no more Joel. Like as much as we love him, no more Joel. We need to focus on Ellie and her revenge plot, or Abby and whatever the hell she's doing. Because crazy thing is, guys, we have not seen Abby since the second episode. Yet they were hyping up Caitlin
Exactly.
Dever up so high, and she's
Yep.
been in 1 or 2 episodes.
Yep. You get introduced to Eli or Isaac. He's only in like 2 episodes.
Again,
And it's like, why are we being introduced to all these characters and stuff when you're not even seeing them through over half the season?
because season 3 will be where it's like, oh, you remember those characters? But it'll be 2 years later, so it'll be in like 2027. It's like, remember the characters you saw for 2 episodes? Like, you remember
Yeah.
them? Now they're gonna do things, and you're like, no, stop.
I told my fiance, I was like, "You think people are probably a little bit upset the people that play the games now are upset? Wait until next season when you're probably barely gonna have Ellie in next season. It's just gonna follow Abby
It's an
the
Abby
whole
season.
season 3." Exactly. There's so many people are
Ah,
gonna be mad next season.
oh,
And
no.
that's like that's where I'm kinda like, they should have found a way to not only make the seasons 10 episodes, but find a way to tell both stories kinda
Mhm.
simultaneously between Ellie and Abby. That way you don't have to have similar to the game, one half Ellie, one half Abby, and then kind of have the resolution towards the end. It's a TV show, you could have found a way to kind of stack both of their stories, kinda going back and forth, or mirroring each other in certain
This
ways, because that's kind of the whole point of the second game is they're mirroring each other.
mm, this episode should have been the 3rd episode. It should have ended with Joel's death, and then the next episode is this flashback episode where it's showing us
Yeah.
what because our question is, why is Ellie so mad at Joel? Like, why is she so angry at him? And us as gamers know, but like if you hadn't played the game, you don't know what the hell why Ellie's like this because I
Yeah.
mean, you could probably figure it out like, oh, okay, yeah, she found out about what happened between him and the Fireflies, but we
Mhm.
don't know the full extent. So it's very this being at the end of the season, it just doesn't make sense. I
No.
think it's just one of
I
those, oh,
mean,
you guys missed Pedro Pascal, here he is for 55
yeah.
minutes.
I mean, to me, it doesn't make sense to put it all in one episode either. Why wouldn't
No.
you just have like certain parts of like Ellie, like something triggers in Ellie, and then she has a flash, like similar to the game. She has that flashback. She's remembering
Mhm.
something. You could have had these little things inserted throughout this whole season so far,
Yep.
leading up to this, and then you could have had one big flashback in this episode that kind of caps it off, and then goes into the next episode. But like I don't know, it just felt weird they inserted all the flashbacks in the one episode
Yeah.
instead of kinda pacing them out so it feels a little bit more natural, you know? Because they introduced some things that should have been done way sooner,
Mhm.
and then it lessens the impact of the episode in general because I'm gonna kinda jump ahead. That scene where they're having on the porch at the very end of the
Yeah.
episode, she calls him out for lying to her, like, about the fireflies. That should have been done months ago.
Mhm.
She should have been pissed about this way sooner. And instead, it just kind of dampers it because she gets mad and then immediately like, "Well, I would like to try to forgive you." Where it's like, what are we doing here? She just switches immediately, like, she's either mad or she's not. And, like, at least in the game, it's such an emotional scene where, like, they're having that good day together, they're on patrol, and then she finally asks him that question, like, I don't want you to lie to me, like, if you lie to me one more time, we're done." And then he confesses that he killed the fireflies. He tells her that she was gonna end up dying if they did do the cure, and then that's where she's like, "You know what? Fuck you, Joel. Like, we're done. Like, I don't wanna talk to you again." Like, and that's why through months and months and months, she's even more upset,
Yep.
and that's why that scene that you have at the very end of the game on that porch, where she finally kind of like, "Yeah, I would like to try to mend our relationship,"
Mhm.
it just has that emotional I'm getting goosebumps thinking about the end of the game. Like, it's I don't know, it just makes it like, it's that emotional impact that Joel died right after they were finally starting to maybe patch things up.
Mm.
Whereas, like, you don't really have that in this game. Like,
Nope.
I mean, in the show, you do, but, like, there's no emotional impact because she brings up the argument and then immediately, like, "Yeah, I wanna try to forgive you." And it's like, what it just doesn't make much sense. Like, why would you have that here? Like, why wouldn't you leave that for the end of the show? That way everybody's like, "Oh my god, they were trying to build that relationship back up." Or just save it for this season finale if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But, like, why do it all in one scene? It just feels very forced. Like, why even have the Eugene stuff? Because that's the thing that they want to make you think she's really the maddest about. Like, he lied to her about the
Well,
whole
no,
Eugene thing.
that was the trigger for her because there was the scene where she's got, like, the paper that she wrote out, like, all the different questions
Yeah.
about because I feel she knows that he lied about the fireflies and that
Well, yeah.
things went in a certain direction that he is not being completely honest, and her test was, "I know you're gonna kill Eugene. I know, like, if if you if you're gonna promise me
Mhm.
you're not gonna do it, and then I know you're gonna do it, then you lied about it that first thing when I asked you about the fireflies." So it was like this weird
Exactly.
test that just didn't need to happen. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, yay, we finally got Joey Pants. He finally showed up for 5 seconds. And again, it's just one of
Yeah.
those like, oh yeah, remember Eugene? Yeah, he's been mentioned a couple times, and he's Gail's husband, also a character who doesn't do a whole lot in this later
Yeah.
part of the season. And yeah, it's like that's the nail in the coffin that sets
Yeah.
her off completely. And it's like, no, no.
Like, even so, they coulda utilized that opportunity. She's so mad, you could see her crying as they're rolling out. She shoulda called him out right there.
Yeah.
Like, she's so mad, like, why wouldn't she just be like, "You know what? This is just, the last straw at this point," and then she shoulda brought it up, and then they shoulda had that argument then and there. Like, right at like, the whole Eugene thing should have been, the boiling point, and then she just blows up on Joel, like, questioning him about the fireflies, questioning him about the hospital and everything, and then you woulda had that, whatever, 9 months or whatever leading up to whatever, Joel's death and such. But, like, it just for her to have that scene confronting him about the fireflies in the same scene that says she's gonna try to forgive him, it just feels weird. Like, it this shoulda happened way sooner or in place of the whole Eugene thing. Like, I just don't understand why they decided to separate that. It just that's one of the things I mentioned, it just lessens the emotional impact. Because for me, and the way they did it in the game, it was perfect. It makes you feel so, like, kinda depressed. I mean, the whole game's depressing, but it makes you feel depressed because you know that they were trying to patch things up before Joel dies, and they
Mhm.
wait until the final minute of the game to reveal that, and you're like, "God damn it." Like, I wish I want better for Ellie, but here it's just kind of revealing all that now ahead of
Yep.
time, and then it's like, what are we building towards throughout the rest of this series, through season 3 or season 4? Because, like,
Yeah.
we both know how the second game ends. What happens then? Like, as far as Joel goes and stuff, like, there's not gonna be that emotional impact that you have, like, of them on the porch and everything, and also, you coulda had Pedro Pascal in season 3 or 4 just in these flashbacks here and there if you
Mhm.
wanted to, but now you're using everything ahead of time with him, so and the writing's already kinda sloppy. That doesn't give me high hopes for whole season 3 and now a season 4 that he's talking about. Like, I don't know. I feel like they're utilizing a lot of the emotional stuff way too soon
Yep.
and way too fast. And now and then they're gonna have that trouble through season 3 and season 4 of like, okay, now what do we do? We're running out of material. And now we have to base the whole season 3 or whatever on Abby. That didn't really go so well for the game whenever it came out. How's it gonna work for the show? And, like, I understand
Exactly.
people like Caitlin Dever, but, like, people don't like Abby. People people aren't gonna be cool with just not following Ellie a whole season if they go that route after following her for 2 seasons. I don't know, I feel like they're kinda putting themselves their back against the wall here at this point by doing all this, by just kinda condensing everything and just kind of releasing certain things way ahead of time.
I agree. Everything you just said, it's like I'm just like sitting here like, yep, yep. It just it's
'Cause this is the episode that really rubbed me the wrong way. Like, afterwards, I was just, like, not happy. Like, I liked certain parts of it, but, like, as far as I was waiting for a lot of these emotional beats to come way later, and
right.
now you just drop them all on my lap right now, and it's just I don't feel anything anymore.
The
What
the performances in this episode are phenomenal. Like
Oh, yeah, they were
Like for
great.
anyone out there who is like, I'm tired of Pedro Pascal, I don't think he's a good actor. This episode should change your mind because his
Yep.
performance in this episode is phenomenal. His way he can change his emotions and go from being that gruff tough guy to this very sensitive man, feeling
Mhm,
like he is losing this daughter of this surrogate daughter that he has kind of inherited. and
mhm,
and yeah, and to be honest, like as much as it's good to see them back together and getting to see kind of how the relationship unraveled, yeah, was just too much too soon. And the fact
mhm.
is like I feel fans would have applauded on the mountaintops if they ended the entire series with the scene on the porch like the game
Oh,
ended.
yeah,
People would
I
have
would've
been
loved it.
like, they would have bawled their eyes out because yes, Joel and
Yeah,
Ellie were going to work it out,
you
but it
cut the
never.
credits, and that's the end of the series
Yeah,
at that point.
yeah, but instead you give it to us in the 6th episode of the 2nd season when you're expecting 4 seasons. Okay, now I don't feel it's gonna end well. or it's just not going to have that impact. And as much as
Yeah,
it was,
or they're gonna be changing a lot more throughout season 3 and season 4.
yeah, which is not, oh God, it's making me so beyond nervous because of how
Yeah,
much I love the games and how much I loved
same.
season 1. Season 2 is just dropping the ball, man. And Craig I don't know what Craig Mazin's doing, and I really wish he would just, like like we said, like season 1 didn't follow it to a T, but it followed it enough and it changed just enough where it didn't affect the storytelling. Here it's just everywhere. We have branches coming off this tree that there's no conclusion because it's like, "Oh, we got to wait for the next season." It's like, "No. Like we have a plot line. Let's finish the plot line." Like
Yeah.
what are we
I'm I'm
doing?
I'm waiting for the inevitable, like, fan edit. When everything's all said and done, some fan's gonna go back and, like, re-edit the whole, like, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th season into how it's supposed to be,
Yeah.
and I can't wait to see how that turns out because I know
Oh,
it's
I'll
gonna
watch
happen
it. I'll
eventually.
watch it. But yeah, I mean, it was good to see these iconic scenes put on the
Oh,
screen,
yeah.
even if they were too early. Like the porch scene, I think it was done brilliantly. I think both
Yeah,
Bella Ramsey
exactly.
and Pedro Pascal are phenomenal in the scene. I think it is done almost to perfection, with the lines being exactly the same. I
Yeah.
loved the museum
Oh,
spot
the
of
museum one was
it's
great.
so good, just seeing this relationship and in the early stages of it and how they
Yeah.
were like father and daughter, and that whole the space capsule scene is so good. It's so well done. Very similar to what the game gave us. Even to the point where she's wearing the same outfit that Ellie in the
Yeah.
game's wearing. The dinosaur and like those are so great. But yeah, they just spread them out. Like give this to Ellie as like she's like this is a dream. Like she's like she had just gone through some terrible stuff. Like she kills Nora and then she goes to sleep that night, and that's like her dream is she's reminiscing about the museum trip. And then like
Yeah.
another thing, she kills, the next person in the group, and she has that other flashback. It's like putting them, like you said, putting them all together in one episode just didn't make a whole lot of sense. And then
No.
I was, right after episode 1, I said I would love an episode with Gail and Eugene and kind of have it like episode 3
We were
of
waiting the whole
season
season
1.
for it.
And all we get is this like, "Oh yeah, Eugene is out in the woods and he's getting attacked," and then we run into him and get, Joe Pantoliano's out there and he's bit. And then you get this, I mean, I think it's a well done scene, and I think they both, Pedro Pascal and Joe Pantoliano are very good in this, and it shows just how ruthless Joel can be. Like, why
Yeah.
would he knows that his relationship with Ellie is already crumbling at this point, even
Yeah,
before they
why do
go out
that?
on this patrol, and then he just does this knowing it's going to upset her. Oh,
Yeah.
it was too late for him, and when she literally did
And
the
knowing that he
goddamn
probably would've
test.
exactly, knowing he probably would've made it back to see Gale again. So
But that's the thing is Ellie knew Joel was going to do it.
Yep.
And and to be honest, I loved that she calls him out. Like he tries to put a
Yeah.
bullshit story to Gale about how, he would never have made it. And I had to put him down. He told me he loved you and he was strong. He wasn't even scared, even though literally everything he says is a lie because he literally says, "I'm
Everything.
scared. Like I want to see my wife. I want Gale to be the last thing I see." And then Joel tries to make him feel better, but then he shoots him, and then that's the nail in the coffin for Ellie, where she's like, "I
Yeah.
knew you lied to me the whole time. You literally lied to my face." And it's like, Joel, why would Joel do like you you knew your relationship was already on thin ice, and do you just do
Yeah.
this thinking maybe she's dumb enough to believe that it wasn't gonna work? It's like, no. And I think it would have been a very, I mean, I get that's the direction Craig Mazin wanted with this kind of, you know, the explosion between Ellie and Joel, but I think it would have been so much better if we got to see Gail and Eugene like face to face, like saying goodbye, and then Joel
Yeah.
has to put him down or,
Or at the very
whatever.
least, like, you did it with episode 3 last season, give him the whole episode. That way
Yeah.
it doesn't that way it by the end where he's dude, because even in just the short time that we had with Joey Pants, that I forget the exact quote. I'm lying. I'm paraphrasing, but he's just like, "I need to speak with Gail," and he's like, "Just tell me what you wanna say to her. I'll relay the message." And he's like, "It's not what I wanna say to her. It's what I need her to I need to hear from her," is what he's saying. And I was like, "Damn, that's so like that's a great
Mhm.
line. That's so emotional." And I think it would have worked a lot better if you followed them the whole episode. Like the beginning of the episode, you wake up with Eugene and Gail. You see their daily routine or whatever. He has to go on his route and everything, and then that's where things start falling apart. He's chased by the infected. He gets bit, and then he runs into Joel and Ellie, and that's you have the rest of the episode. It would have been way more emotional and had a huge emotional impact by the end of it instead of just having it condensed to like 10 minutes.
Oh, hey,
It's like,
here's
okay, I
Eugene.
barely know who this dude is.
Yeah, we've only heard his name a few times in the season, and
Exactly,
it's not as impactful.
and we already know he dies by Joel's hand because Gale even mentions it in like the second episode or
Yeah,
first episode. So it's
yeah.
like you kind of spoiled that away ahead of time. Like, so I don't know. It's just they went about it all wrong. Like, why would you saw the success of the third episode of last season? Why wouldn't you try to replicate that in this season? I mean, they tried to, they just in a smaller version, but like it would have been an amazing episode if they would have did a whole thing on it.
Mm.
But then again, you lose a lot of that time with Ellie and stuff. But I mean, they only had 7 episodes. Maybe that's the reason why they didn't do it as well. But I'm sure HBO would have gave them the money to do 10 if they wanted to. It was their decision, I'm sure. But it's just so weird. It's just weird decision making, man. It's just very weird.
Yeah, because again, crampy, you're cramming all of these things into one episode. You get the origins of her tattoo, the origins of her burning her arm so that the bite is hidden so that
Yeah.
she can wear short sleeves again, and the
That stuff I didn't
guitar,
mind
and
too much.
yeah, the guitar and the tattoo, and Joel finding out that Ellie's, she's a lesbian. And it's like
Mhm.
all of these things are happening, and seeing like that Joel is not a fan. He's a very just based on his prior life and stuff like that, but then you get to see his
Yeah.
change, and it's like, but it's all just this is all one episode, people. This is in spread out. This
Yeah.
isn't sprinkled in throughout the season. It's like,
'Cause by the end on the porch, she's just like, "Well, if Dina wants to be with you, or whatever, she's a lucky girl. Like she
yeah,
wouldn't find anybody else that's better for her, or whatever." So
right.
he's fine with it, but like you don't have that, that circle. You don't have like him kind of growing or changing. It just kind of happens.
Because
Same thing with the beginning of the episode. What was the point of having the beginning of the episode when nothing changes? Isn't that the whole point? Is like
oh, you
you
mean like
like
when you see Joel as a kid
yeah,
with his
with
dad?
his father and everything, and his
Yeah,
father's like, "My father was worse to me, so I'm whatever I'm doing, like, listen, I'm not a good parent, but I'm better than my father was, so you have to be better than I am." But he's not. I
yeah.
mean, he doesn't beat Ellie and stuff. He didn't beat Sarah or anything, but, like, he's still a bad person
Right.
by
I
all
mean, it's
means. So,
also
like
it's also one of those things where you have to look at, like, Joel is living in a world unlike anything his father had ever seen before. Who knows
yeah,
how Joel would have been as a dad. Joel was a pretty good dad to Sarah, before
yeah,
the epidemic started, but now he has to be a father in this, like, post-apocalyptic world, and, you know, and it's just trying to see how he can survive w- having to do that. But in the sixth episode of your 7 episode season, I'm just like, it's great to see Joel back, but I need some more with Ellie. I need to know what happened after Nora now,
yeah.
not whatever we're gonna see in this final episode.
That's why it would've been better to kinda have those flashbacks kind of
Yeah.
spaced out between these different episodes here and there, like these small, like, couple minute flashbacks here and there. That way, you don't have to spend a whole episode on it. You don't have to lose the momentum of something crazy happened from the episode previous. You can
Yeah.
go right back into it, and it's like, I don't know. It's just it's very weird as far as Craig Mazin goes. Like, he write the whole 1st season?
He wrote the majority of the first season except for the Left Behind, which was the flashback episode with where Ellie gets bit and her friend there.
Was that, Druckmann
No,
that did that one?
yeah, Druckmann did that one,
Okay.
and then he and Druckmann wrote the season finale for season 1, and they also are writing the season finale for this one, for this season. So
Gee. Well, hopefully the finale is good, but and then I understand Druckmann's busy. He's working on, like, 2 new games, like that intergalactic one, and then they have, like, a new unannounced project they're working on simultaneously. Like, I understand he's busy, but we need to get him in that writing room or get him directing some of these more episodes going in through season 3 and 4. Get him a little bit more involved because hopefully, with how this season's going and hopefully how some of the blowback from fans and stuff, hopefully that kind of points them in the right direction as far as season 3, because I'm sure they're writing season 3 as we speak.
oh yeah.
Hopefully, they're kind of taking some of these criticisms to heart and they're kind of adapting to that. Hopefully, or else it's just gonna be this continuing through 2 more seasons.
Yeah.
The stuff we're complaining about.
Oh, but I guess the final thing we should talk about is the teaser for the season finale. It doesn't show us a lot. It shows us that we're going to be around Ellie, Dina, and Jesse more, and they're going
Okay.
to be
To be honest, I
dealing.
didn't even watch it. This is the only one time I didn't watch the preview because as soon as it ended, I was telling my fiance about it. I was like, "I'm not happy with this one," and I was like, kind of explaining how things were going, and I totally skipped the
No,
the
that's
preview.
totally understandable. But I mean, to be honest, someone had asked me if I would talk about my thoughts on the teaser. There's not a lot they show. Like I said, I feel this episode is going to be the continuation of the journey for Ellie and Dina and Jesse. They're going to all be involved, which do I want that? Not really, because Jesse and Dina aren't involved in Ellie's journey going forward because they go back because Dina's pregnant. And in the teaser, it shows like she's gonna give birth in this episode. I'm very confused. They just found out she's pregnant. Like she's
Maybe
already
they're
given
cutting.
birth?
Maybe they're flash forwarding. Maybe they're skipping ahead.
Ah. But that's not how it works in
Nope.
the
Well, I
game.
mean, the section that I don't know where they're gonna end that season finale because if it ends with Abby being at the theater, what are we doing here? Because by the time that Abby goes to the theater in the game, all of her crew is dead. Like Ellie killed all of her crew before Abby goes to the theater and confronts her. So it's like,
Yeah.
what is the season finale even gonna be at this point? Because she has so many crew members to kill before even
Yeah. Like
confronting
who's
Abby.
who's dying in this episode? That's gonna be the real
What's gonna
question. Who
happen?
is going to be dead by the end of
And
the
what kind of
season?
cliffhanger are you even gonna
Oh,
have?
it's gonna be one of those ones where you're just like, oh, I gotta wait 2 years for
Yeah, but
whatever's
like,
gonna be next.
but there's so much that needs to happen. Like, I just don't even know what they're gonna do in one final episode that's gonna even take us into the next season. It's just
I don't
I don't
know.
know, man.
It's rough. The final
I'm
shot.
very nervous for this next episode.
Yeah, me too. It's one of those things where I'm gonna be sitting there on my couch, just kind of in a vegetative state, and just like, all right, well, that was something, and then move on.
Wait
But
another year, couple years for the season 3.
yeah. The final shot of the teaser is someone on a boat. And I remember in the game, I think it was Abby who was on the
Yeah.
boat when it was like the city that's underwater type thing. And they're like cruising through. So I don't know if they're going to be switching it to Ellie. If this is supposed to be Abby, it's kind of a faraway shot. You don't really see who's on the boat.
I'll have to take a look at the
Are they
preview
gonna
here.
are they gonna show Abby in the season finale or like I don't know. This is
I feel like they have to at this point. You introduced her, you're gonna have to
yeah.
show her at
She's been
some
in
point.
2 episodes. It's wild. Like, it's just so backwards. The season is just all over the place. It just no sense of order, and that's my
I
biggest
wonder
issue.
I feel like they should have just shot it back to back. Like, they should have shot season 2 and 3 back to back. That way, like, you could have had this season, and then you take a break for, like, maybe 6 months or so, release the
Mhm.
3rd season, one at a
Yeah.
time. That way you don't have that wait, and you can continue up directly from season 2 instead of waiting 2 years, and you're like, "Oh, I remember we're going this direction with it, and now I have to
Mhm.
follow Abby or whatever through this season." I feel like the way that they're going and the way the season finale is gonna go, by the time season 3 comes around, people are just not gonna care, or it's just gonna be checked out at that point. They're
Yeah.
just like, "Yeah,"
It's gonna
unless it
be
goes out on a high note.
I hope so. I really hope so. I really don't wanna
I
be
hope so
super
too.
disappointed in how it goes, but I feel like that's the direction, and
Yeah, I
I'm just
don't
so
wanna be
disappointed.
shitting on this show. I wanna like it. I want it to be
Yeah.
good, but, like, yeah, it's just not going that route. And, I mean, the best stuff out of this 6th episode was the bonding time between Joel and Ellie to me. Like, them
Mhm.
going to the museum, them going out on patrol and stuff. I really like those scenes. I mean, even the porch scene was fantastic. The performances are fantastic. It's just the writing that's just sloppy, man.
It's a mess. It's an absolute
Yeah.
mess.
So,
Well, I think
hopefully finale's better, hopefully.
Yes, please give us something worth wanting to wait the next couple of years for season 3. That's all I'm
Yeah.
asking. But I think that's all we can really say about episodes 5 and 6 of The Last of Us season 2. Next
Mhm.
week, we are going to be talking about the season finale, and we're going to be kind of having a conversation about our final thoughts on the season as a whole and where we hope based on the season finale, where we hope season 3 goes. Because I feel like we're going to have some sort of better picture on where the direction season 3 is going to go, hopefully based on the season finale. you know, Always hoping. But yeah, I feel like we were super negative throughout this entire episode, and it kind of sucks because I don't want to be that way, but
Yeah,
it's not like negative. It's just like disappointment. It's just we're two
exactly.
people who played both games, loved both games, brilliantly done, and we just want the show to be that and more.
Yeah.
And
I'm not like a mad like, enraged keyboard warrior out here, like,
yeah,
going at Neil Druckmann or anything on Twitter. It's like, no,
right.
I'm just disappointed because it's kind of not ruining, but it's just going a weird different way from the games. It's just not following, it doesn't feel the same. It's not
Mhm.
following the same type of pacing, and it's kind of doing a disservice to the characters we grow to love.
I agree. Well, I think that's about it for us for today, everybody. Let us know your thoughts on The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 5 and 6. Make sure to leave them down in the comments of the video
Yeah.
or, send us or just comment on the posts that you see on social media. They'll be posted on Instagram, on Twitter, and all that. So you guys can let us know your thoughts. We did get a recommendation to cover Andor at
I did
some
see that.
at
I've
some
been
point.
hearing it's
So
fantastic.
maybe after we're done with The Last of Us, we'll do a one big episode or one episode where we talk about Andor. We'll see how it goes. It's all based on scheduling, but
Yeah.
it's been recommended a couple times. So, and I just finished watching it, and I have a
Oh,
lot to say
really?
about it. So maybe we do it, but we'll see.
So
That's all I'm going
I
to
gotta
say.
watch it.
I'm not going to promise anything, but we'll see.
I keep hearing how
Um,
fantastic it is, so I gotta watch it at some point.
I highly recommend it. Well, Wyatt, it's been, I want to say, I wish it was more fun to talk about these episodes, but
Oh, that was fun, man.
it was
It's
fun.
been a
It's fun
enjoy.
to discuss them. Unfortunately, it had to be the way that it was. And like I
Yeah.
said, these episodes weren't terrible. It's the writing is just out of control, and it needs to
Yeah.
kind of course correct. And hopefully, Craig Mason can
Getting
do
away
that.
with this.
Yeah.
It's gotta be stopped.
All right, everybody, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you can. And make sure to rate us 5 stars on any of the podcast apps that you listen to us on and rate us 5 stars. That would be great. And yeah, follow what do you got going on over at Cinema Trip Reviews?
I'm gonna be finally releasing the companion review this week
I just
of
saw
Starting
that.
Tokyo Passage.
So I'm excited to
Yep.
listen to your
I'm gonna
thoughts.
be releasing that this week, and then next week I am gonna be dropping the Akira review featuring the Flicks and
Ooh.
Friends podcast, Dustin and
Very
Paul.
cool. Very cool. Very excited for that one too. I need to actually watch that movie. I hate to admit it, I've never seen Akira.
It was the
So,
first time I saw it, and
all right.
Dustin, so
Oh,
Paul's the
wow.
one
There
that's
we
kinda
go.
leading the show in this one. On my own show, Paul's
Very
the one
cool.
kinda taking the reins and telling us about all Akira and everything. It's a great episode, man.
Well, I'm very excited for everything you got going on. As for us, currently, we have our final Underworld review on Underworld Blood Wars, a movie I don't think anyone saw. Uh, and we just released our latest Monster Zone episode on Yongari, Monster from the Deep from 1967.
Hmm.
And then coming up on Friday, we had a live stream for our 4-year anniversary on Sunday. And then this Friday, you guys will get the edited audio and video version of that 4-year anniversary live stream. So that's what you're going to be getting as a new episode this week. And then, like I said, next week, we're going to be back talking The Last of Us for the season finale. So
Yep.
make sure to support both Cinema Trip Reviews and Dissect That Film wherever